tier 1, tier 2. Is that what you're saying?
Season 4.
Season 4 of Real Talk with me, ilyAIMY.
And Dinah.
Where we will be coming at you every week with real, honest, authentic conversations with executives and healers,
creatives and entrepreneurs
about real conversations, authenticity, and what mental health sounds like.
Yes, raising the vibration one conversation at a time.
Every Monday, tune in here live.
Oh, here we are.
Yay! We made it. We made it. It's another Monday.
Yes, it's another Monday.
Welcome
Happy Monday,
back,
y'all.
everybody, to another episode of Real Talk with me, ilyAIMY.
And it's me, Dinah.
Yes. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day for a neighbor.
Yes, it is.
And you used to be mine. And today we are in the studio with a last-minute addition to this season because, well, there's many reasons why, but I'm really excited about this conversation today because this is my brother from another mother, Dinah.
Yes.
He and I have sailed the world together, quite literally. Well, not sailed, we've flown the world together.
The sailing of the sky.
The sailing of the sky. He is a musician, he's a teacher, he's a mentor. I'm going to go so far as to say he's a low-key philosopher in some ways as well. And a massive, massive D&D nerd, Mr. Joey Jenkins. What's going on, sir? The crowd goes wild.
Hey, thank you for having me. It is an honor. I feel privileged to get to be here. Looking forward to our conversation. Looking forward to revealing more of myself to your audience.
Yeah, which I think is an interesting thing when it comes to the revealing side of things, right? Because when you and I first met, revealing is not exactly the word that you would have used to describe yourself, perhaps, because you've always gone by the moniker of Silence Echoez.
Yeah.
And silence is very much the antithesis, I think, of revealing, right? Can you talk about that? And for those who don't know you, who is Joey? Who is Silence Echoez? And where do those two sides of yourself meet?
No better place to start. Thank you. So Silence Echoez is has a dual meaning. I chose that name because I think that it's really important to not just be quiet when it's your time to listen, but also it's very important for you to speak up when it's your time to speak. And so silence echoing is, implying that you need to make space for the voices of others, yes, but also that you really shouldn't be quiet in order to, and the whole idea behind my music, reflection and action. I really love the bio that many years ago you helped me develop for myself.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I couldn't have done it without you. And, it really is just all about being a voice for the voiceless. Like I could play music for myself, to myself, and therapize myself, but when you create, develop, and then finally achieve the status of having a platform, you want to be intentional about how you use it. And so Silence Echoez is about making sure that you do speak, but only when it's appropriate, so that you can make space for the voices of others when it's their turn.
Love that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I feel as though there's a bit of that I hold in my space where, meditation is what I kind of do. And there is a lot of energy around that silence. It's very powerful at times too. And oftentimes when you're in the listening mode and you're truly listening, right, it's the opportunity to hold space for the other person, right? So I'm curious about where did this concept come from you? Like, where did it start and how did it grow?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
I love that you referenced meditation and energy. I've got so from the start, let's do it chronologically instead of reverse chronologically. I was raised pretty religious, and so by like 8th, 9th grade, I was really interested in how what I was being taught was to be applied, because, the more you learn, the more you realize that some of these ideologies get co-opted and used for violence. And so, long story short, I found Taoism. And so the symbol that I use on my website and in my business cards and whenever I can is it's a yin yang, and in each of the little circles I also have an Om inside of there. So that's pretty much where it started. You really hit the nail on the head. It's about listening. The whole idea is that's the sound of the universe. And so from silence, there was nothing before there was something, and then every something returns back to nothing. Whether it's all of existence or that second that we just got to experience. It wasn't, then it was, then it wasn't. And so that's really where it comes from, is the whole idea that silence is the canvas, not just for music, but for existence. And yeah, I guess I probably came up with the idea in 2012 after doing a breathing like weekend seminar type situation. And my parents were like, really, you want us to, because I couldn't afford it at like 21, 22. And so I had to ask them for like $400 to go. And it was me and like 7 like 40, 50-year-old women just like breathing and holding hands and looking into each other's eyes and holding space for each other and processing all of these emotions and learning how to really get a grip on what the eternal aspects of your identity are. You can define yourself in ways that are transient, but who are you in a lasting way helps you to remain grounded, in ways that some people never really achieve. And so that's a lot of what the reflection and action in my music is about staying grounded for me. And trying to convey that, whether with words or with music or just with straight vibes, just trying to make sure that that's what comes across. I'm just like, I might be talking about something silly, because that's my favorite genre is silly music. But, when I write something, whether it's about mistakes I've made or the changes that I think need to be seen in the world, the hope is that people will find a grounding energy for themselves.
I think that's such a beautiful mission and vision, especially living in the Western world. I'm not going to say just DC and the DC metropolitan area, but the Western world in general. And, having been on tour with New Zealand, with me to New Zealand a few times, and I think you had a 6-hour layover in my father's home country of Fiji, so you kind of got a bit of a perspective from another culture. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because I think in the Western world we have a tendency to get so intensely married to the identities that are thrust upon us, right? So when you talk about that, coming back to self and groundedness and identifying who we are beneath the layers of reputation, the layers of self-ascribed fill in the blanks, the layers of job titles and letters after your title, etc. We've become so enamored with this idea of almost faking it, right? As opposed to being real. And I think there's something really important in that silence for us to kind of give ourselves permission to peel that back. But in the musical sense for yourself, even in that silence, there's still some kind of identity there as a musician, I would assume. Can you speak to that a little bit?
A lot. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. God, you guys ask good questions. I'm grateful to past me that I'm a thoughtful person. Otherwise, these would be hard to answer.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
In a lot of ways. Thank you, Mom and Dad. So I often refer to Joseph Campbell as my Jesus. His thesis in the works of his life can essentially be boiled down to dreams are private myths and myths are public dreams. And so he studied the cultures and the oral traditions and what we would call religions of the world for his entire life, traveling all over the world in an effort to kind of like extract from and average out what people find memorable and what people find grounding. We define ourselves in many ways, not just by like, oh, I'm my father's son, I'm my mother's son, I'm my sister's brother, I'm my child's parent, but we look to the stories that we're told growing up and say, I want to be like Batman, I want to be like Superman, I want to be like Jesus, you know. And so I want to be like, nobody wants to be like Zeus, but you know, these different traditions that have been with cultures for, you know, centuries and millennia and transform and grow, they're how we define ourselves. What is good? What is evil? What does it mean to be a part of a family? And you're going to contextualize that with a narrative, whether or not you've been fortunate enough to receive some kind of, you know, broader like context and culture. Some people are not raised religious. You still have a narrative in your mind for your life and how you define good and bad and belonging and community.
It's ethics.
Ethics, I've been told and agree, is do you do the right thing even when no one's looking? It's
right.
Like, so like there, exactly, that we would contextualize what the right thing is based on the narrative that we construct for ourselves, which is influenced by the culture that we're raised in. And so back to your point, the idea of Silence Echoez is not just, thank you, doing for others, but it's also making sure that I understand and contextualize like who and what Joey Jenkins is.
Yeah.
You know, so in that way, all of the myths that I receive, I can translate into a private experience, and I try to give back by translating my private experience into a mythologized, metaphorical, you know, exaggerated storytelling version of myself
Through
music and writing.
No, I love that. I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, when we first met, I think our energies were so complementary to each other, because that, you don't know how we met. We were watching a friend of ours perform at the Wharf just after my grand opening for the Wharf celebration performance, and he came up to me and asked me what I did for a living, and back then I was a full-time street performer, and so I told him I sold love for a living, and he was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, that's what I do. I use music as a methodology to help people understand what love is for themselves, for the community, for the universe, right? And the reason I bring that up is because, you know, not long after that conversation that you and I had, my now husband pulled me aside at one point and said to me, you need to remember that there's more to you than Emma G, the musician.
Ooh, buddy. Ooh,
right?
Buddy. Yeah.
And
you can get lost in that.
Right.
You're a dedicated professional.
So I had an existential crisis, and because I'd forgotten that silence part, right? That I'd forgotten that part of myself, to be still and to honor the human the human beingness, as opposed to the human. As opposed to the human, you know, as opposed to the human doingness, I forgot to be the human beingness, right? And so I say that to mean that, like, as a creativepreneur, I needed to figure out, what does it look like to just be Emma, right? So what does it look like to be just Joey, besides the teaching, besides the music, besides the being a partner, to your beloved, besides being even a friend to people, like. And I think that's one of the things that, as I speak to you on a regular basis, continues to inspire me, because we forget that piece of ourselves. I'm sure you can talk a lot to that as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And go.
No, I can. I think like, sorry, I'm like,
Please don't die.
yeah. I understand, but I feel like it's part of understanding like what you need to ground and find that in your everyday life is the grounding. And I think that like when we can return to that in the stillness, we can show up fully every single day. You can be like all of these things at one time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense, but you have to have the tools to understand, right? Like that silence and the echoing. And I'm curious, like when you write, what is the process like as you reflect and you use your voice? And like my voice is a little bit funny right now, but
you sound very emotional.
I know. But you said earlier, right? Like you have to use your voice, but then there's a balance too, right? And I think the part for me is like when you're in the silence, what are you listening for?
Ooh, yeah. Tell us.
So, to answer your question, what does Joey look like outside of these doingnesses?
We just made up a new word.
Doingnesses. Outside of these doingnesses, English is so great. And thank you, because I remember when I got to be your clicker for your second TED Talk, you asked me, what would you make a TED Talk about? And it's kind of like boiled me down to me, like, what do you have to offer the world? And it really is simply to teach. I enjoy, outside of being a teacher, the reason why I enjoy teaching, and I'll share it with any student and every single one that I get to be a teacher to. I'm excited to get to teach because it helps make sure that people don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. Mistakes that caused me harm, mistakes that caused me trouble, mistakes that I was talking about it with my bandmate yesterday. It's not, he was like, I love to ask people, if you could go back at 5 years old and know what you know now and redo life, or have $1 million now, which would you do? And he's like, this is such an insightful thing for the psychology of individuals and where they're at on their journey, because I would just take $1 million. You know what I mean? Like if you were 5 and you like, the mistakes made me who I am today, I'd end up being a different person. And I was like, yo.
And I like me.
And, and first of all, the amazing arrogance, if you were to go back, right?
Yeah.
Because you're assuming that you wouldn't be making a completely separate set of mistakes. Like you're going to go back with all the knowledge you have now, unless you're perfect now, you're just going to be a different person. Who was 5 with all the knowledge of your however old self, and you got plenty of mistakes left in you, man.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, exactly.
You should.
So
I don't like the term mistakes. I
like they're opportunities.
Yeah.
They are opportunities.
Opportunities.
There's important ways to contextualize what we hadn't intended.
Yeah.
But you're right. That mistake has some negative connotation. But to finish answering your question, I love to teach, and what I want to offer the world is who I have learned to be, not more than that and not less than that.
Yeah.
And it's still going on. So, it's a dynamic process.
For sure.
And that segs into my process of writing, which is pretty dynamic. I prefer to be by myself in a room with the door closed, experiencing as much stillness and silence as possible so that I can hear my thoughts. What I'm listening for, it's like a puzzle. Because I was writing poetry for a good decade before I found music. And so when I'm trying to express myself, and I also had a lot of trouble speaking as a child. And so when I'm trying to express myself with words, it's a lot of it's a thoughtful kind of thing. And I'm like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. No, that's not right. No, that. And then there's like a click, with something. And so like, I don't often know what I'm even trying to say. But I'll in the same way that like a runner will feel their foot fall in the right place, or a swimmer will feel their arm fall in the right place. You'd be like, oh, my form is correct. Every single poem and every single song is like that, where it's not like I'm trying to express myself. That's a consequence of finding this path toward a destination.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that, I mean, that again, why you and I have been so aligned with our mission and vision, and why, you know, whenever I need somebody to help me with my empowerment through songwriting coaching, you're the person I call, because so many young people, and I use the word young very loosely, obviously.
I'm so young.
I mean,
She's talking about me, guys.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about my 66-year-old teenager. You know, because right,
You can be
because
young
we're all young.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But there's so many people who are told that if they don't know how to have a conversation, you know, in the moment, that they are failing at communication, right? Whereas with songwriting, well, they're made to feel that way. Like if you can't have a conversation about the tricky things, then they, you know, are not good enough or not valuable
It's just
enough.
zeros and ones.
Right. And that's not that way, you know. Maybe it's just they don't have the right tools to communicate. And I think that's why songwriting and music can be so powerful, and why your song, like Don't Say Anything, is such a powerful song as well, because not only now are you talking about your own ways of communicating the struggles of being a person of color in America,
Yes.
but also, you know, you're helping the voiceless
Yes.
identify with that and sort of fall into that, giving themselves permission to align with creative expression. Can you speak to that at all?
Absolutely. I love that that's the way that you interpret it. Absolutely. All that and so much more, and in many ways, like less. I truly like woke up on, I think it was like July 10th. It was a Monday in 2016. So whatever the Monday closest to July 10th is in 2016. Well,
It was gray and stormy outside.
It was not, but and I know that. But I only know it was a Monday because I woke up, saw the news, Michael Brown had been murdered, and I played it that evening at the T-Ball open mic that was hosted by my bandmate Rob. And so I know that it was a Monday because of that. I'm not like, I do have a interesting like memory for like numbers and dates, but it was a Monday because I wrote it in 3 hours and played it that evening. And so it was just it's become a lot more to me since then, that now that other people have like acknowledged it and been like, this one's really good, dude. I'm just like, okay, thanks. You know, it was truly just like a wake up, feel your feelings, do the same thing that I had normally had done for a long time, and it turned out to just be what it is.
Yeah.
So you know, yeah, but I agree with you. Giving people an opportunity to see themselves in my music is a blessing that I try to bestow upon myself. I want to receive the you. I see myself in you, you know, from other people for sure. So giving people an opportunity to align with with their, you know, needs, the representation that matters, experiences. If whatever I write, it's related. I was just like listening to. I came in today singing a Cake song to Quinn, and I was like, you know, Cake. They're like, oh yeah, I listened to this song. 2 days ago, I was showing my girlfriend some Cake music, and I was like, this is my favorite Cake song. It's Frank Sinatra, and I have no idea what that song is about. I love it so much. I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I love Beck, and I love nonsense lyrics. I don't just love silly music and parodies that's really thoughtful and intentional. I love when I am getting something from the music that's intensely personal and could never be what other people get. And I'll look up the meaning of the song and be like, oh, I was wrong. Tight. It doesn't mean less to me. You know, you get your own thing out of my music, and that's great. I love getting my own universe out of a song just because I couldn't possibly interpret it correctly. having no context.
Wasn't that art? It's just interpretation, right?
It's your individual
Subjectivity of experience. It's gonna and there's an inevitability to that interpretation. There's an inevitability of that experience where it's like, even if somebody is just like, this is a banana, the point is banana. And you're just like, no, that means something different to me. Banana, I got hit in the head with a banana when I was 7. You know, you can do that. You're like, oh, my mom, every day I used to wake up on the beach and my mom would chop up banana and the smell of banana and she would fry them. And it's just you can get so many different things out of just banana. And it was like the artist intended nothing more than banana.
I went to Despicable Me. Just like
You know, and so there's an inevitability of that subjectivity and interpreting even the simplest and most straightforward of art. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm glad that other people get, whatever they get.
We have 2 minutes left.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, my quick question would be, well, maybe it's not so quick, but I'll
be quick.
What is I'm imagining the classroom and imagining people there. If you say we're in your class today, what would you say to us?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Maybe that wasn't quick. Assuming that you came to learn music from me, I would want you to emphasize in songwriting. I would say make sure that you're choosing subject matter that you have strong feelings about, and you can do it. Don't be held back by perfectionism. Those are pretty much the 2 most important lessons for adult students: is find something that you can feel strongly about and connect with inside of you, and don't think that it has to be right, because perfection is the enemy of good.
Amen.
Yeah.
Plot twist, we're now 12.
In the mind.
You can the same thing. 12 is old enough that I can say those things. I teach a lot of 6-year-olds, and so then I would be like, and make it fun. You know what I mean? I'm not going to worry them about like perfectionism, anxiety, but strong feelings is the first thing that I do teach my first graders to when we write songs together and present them to audiences. I'll be like, you got to what's something that matters to you. 2 weeks ago, I wrote a song with a student about how she was worried about her grandpa going to surgery. And then another kid wanted to write about how much she loves to sleep. And another one wanted to write about her stuffed animals.
Love that.
They all matter.
They all matter. And that's the power of music, right? That's the power of getting in touch with that inner beingness.
Yeah, inner beingness, doingnesses.
And
one of the
really
many doingnesses.
Right. And embracing, the truth of who we are as opposed to reaching out for those labels, etc. I feel like I'm learning so much from you, Dinah.
But you have to get quiet.
Yes.
You have to get quiet in order to know that that's there for you.
So, and I can't teach you that, but I can give you an opportunity. I can say, hey, let's say, I can ask you and I can demonstrate what listening looks like. Yeah. And that's what I love to do.
And on that note, guys, we're
out of time.
This is your invitation for the week. Be silent, be still, get in touch with your inner beingness, and we'll see you next time, friends. Until next time, be good, be kind, spread love, life, no fashion, and remember, keep it real.
Real talk. Thanks.
Yo, that rocked.
Yeah.
'Cause I am searching, don't need to look outside myself to know that I am whole. And I've been learning, made it through the darkest storms, and I'm coming to my own. And I am worthy of love. I can learn to love myself just because.